We invest in people and culture. We very much believe in investing in human resources and the oneness of our culture. We, as a company, invest $1 billion a year in education of our own employees. We run our own school. We send people from around the world to have common training and education. It is a company where we truly believe, despite our breadth and the oneness of what we do, that no individual stands apart or above the company, and where we have a very strong foundation of compliance. So similar to the investment we make in technology and products, we make an equal investment in our own people, in long-term sustainability of their aptitude and of their education, and the foundation of these relationships of people and technology are very long-lasting. The fourth thing we do to drive long-term sustainability is we try to remain an essential company. And the way you remain an essential company is by having a desire to take on the world's toughest problems. So in every generation, we try to be solutions-based, to try to bring together the strength of GE to address long-term societal problems. I would mention two of them that I think are most compelling today. The first one is clean energy, an initiative that we call Eco-Imagination, which we started in 2005. And basically what we said was we were going to invest new R&D dollars to develop a series of products that either drove conservation, reduced pollution, improved water usage, and things like that. When we launched the initiative, we had about 17 products that generated about $5 billion in revenue. In 2009, it'll be 90 products and will generate close to $20 billion in revenue. And along the way, we've reduced our customers' environmental footprint, we've reduced our own environmental footprint, and basically we've said that green is green, that we could make money by solving tough environmental problems. More recently, we launched an initiative around affordable healthcare to basically say, through technology, through innovation, could we find ways to drive cost, quality, and access of healthcare? And we've committed to invest about $6 billion over 5 years along the lines of developing technologies for that. So the way that a company can last for a long period of time is technology and manufacturing, big relationships, a real focus on people, and trying to remain an essential company by solving some of the world's toughest problems. I mean, most of us started, again, the GE I joined in 1982 had 15% of its revenues outside the United States. The GE I lead today has 60% of our revenue outside the United States. And we're committed to continue to drive from, maybe the initial phase of globalization, which was really about shipping our products around the world. And then we would localize our manufacturing and localize our service in a global sense. And then the next phase is we would invest in local capability and education and design and engineering and manufacturing on a global sense. And then the next phase, I think, is becoming part of the solutions in a global sense. In other words, companies like GE working with the Ministry of Health in the Kingdom to figure out how can we deliver a better business model that isn't necessarily an American business model applied to the Kingdom, but one that's fresh and we're a participant in. And then I think the next phase of globalization will be what we call reverse innovation, where we take some of these business models that get developed on a global basis and take them back to the developed world. And the point I would make to you is that we have, as part of our competitiveness, a very strong sense and a willingness to kind of keep driving, keep learning, keep stretching the boundaries of what it means to be a global company and to drive that forward in the future. And I think by doing that, we make sure that we can have access to every market on a global basis, but we also make sure that no one in the world will ever have lower cost or better service than we have. Not Chinese, not Koreans, not Indians, nobody. That we were always able to take our business model and adapt it to the local environment and the local needs to continue to drive great progress. In the role of competitiveness, sustainability, the CEO has to be the leader. The business, the people in this room really look to the leadership to drive long-term sustainability, long-term competitiveness, and we have to do it by the way we resource, by the way we drive change, and particularly in the area of globalization, the CEO has to be the leader in terms of resourcing, in terms of continuing to drive experimentation and risk-taking, and being able to explain how globalization fits inside their company. And I would say that, over time, what I've learned about leading a global company is that a good global company knows how to make money, not only for GE investors, but also knows how to make money in the four countries that we participate in. So the trick is to learn how to make money in a country and for a country so that you're welcome over the long term. So the sustainability of GE is really built on commitment to innovation, commitment to relationships, commitment to people, commitment to solving essential problems, and a commitment to globalization wherever that goes and wherever that might lead. The great industrial policies have several things in common in several aspects, and I'd say all of those are taking place in the kingdom today. The first one is financial systems that encourage entrepreneurship and investment. It is very critical that a competitive country has as its underpinning financial system that encourages small businesses, investment, entrepreneurship, and ultimately this kind of spirit and this kind of activity is the foundation of America when it's at its best, the developed world when it's at its best, but clearly in emerging countries like Saudi Arabia, absolutely key. Every country needs to have an energy policy. Every country needs to have in its foundation a vision for diversity, security, cost of energy. And here the kingdom has made great strides in terms of not just using its own resources, but also developing technology around fuel flexibility, competitiveness of oil and gas, ways to drive low cost in feedstocks, and very strong and great access in the country. So I think from a competitiveness standpoint, what the Ministry of Finance is doing to help small businesses, what Sagia is doing, that's key. Having a great energy policy is also absolutely important. The other foundational point, or another foundational point that competitive countries have, is access to healthcare. And we see this debate going on both in the developed and emerging world, but we're quite impressed with what we've seen from the Ministry of Health to drive healthcare cost, quality, and access in Saudi Arabia. And this, you can't have a competitive country without having a competitive healthcare system. And last, and maybe most importantly, is education, a real focus on education. And this is not just for, young high school and grade school age children, but also, very importantly, technical education in universities. And one of the first questions that we ask as we globalize GE is, how many engineers is a country graduating every year? Because ultimately, the wealth and the competitiveness is going to be created not just from, every college grad, but from the high-tech workforce that you can field, and this focus on education that really the kingdom has led in, with 25% of the resources really going into education, has been a great, I think, bedrock of driving spirit and competitiveness. So when you go through these things that are important to make a country competitive over the long term, I've seen, and I've been coming to this country for really 25 years, and you see more constancy of themes around these areas of energy policy, healthcare policy, entrepreneurship, education than ever before. So this is on, Saudi Arabia is on its way towards competitiveness, and hopefully you'll hit number 10 by the end of the year, but there will be years beyond that you can continue to drive progress on.